This is a Louie Tee Network exclusive.
Who else could it be? Me, your man, Louie Tee. Welcome, you are in the lab room, of course. I'm your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me on the 2016 NFL Draft Prospects 101 series. Your guide to some of the biggest and hottest names of the 2016 NFL Draft. We're talking running backs, and yes, I still got a little bit of a sore throat, but it's all good though. Don't cry for me, Argentina. Save your tears for when you really need them, man. I'm good. You know why I'm good? Because I'm talking football and we talking running backs. And I got another running back for y'all. A guy that I really like, man. Watching him on tape, there's a place for him in the league somewhere. I'm talking about Euclid's running back, Paul Perkins. Let's talk about P and what he brings to the table and why I think this guy can really be a difference maker for some team in the league if used correctly. Pros, 5'10", 208. Now, that's a little small for the running back position at the next level. You know, when you're sub 210, teams get a little wary. They don't know if you can handle the rigors of the NFL or not. Look, that's hogwash because, again, I don't think he's carrying the load for anybody's football team. In the league right now, two-headed monsters are the way of the league right now, and that's what teams are doing. Most teams you look around, unless you got Adrian Peterson in your backfield or a Jamal Charles in your backfield, and even Jamal Charles, who's a pretty slender guy himself, shares the load in Kansas City. Unless you got one of those type of backs that changes the game by himself and doesn't need any help for the most part, these guys are splitting time just about everywhere. So I look at Paul Perkins as a guy that's going to split time somewhere and be effective doing so. Elite vision is the next pro. My goodness. And because he's got elite vision and he's got superb agility, which is the next pro, and tremendous balance, which is the pro after that, it all adds up to a guy that does some pretty unique things when you watch him on tape. The agility to me, it was funny. Let me tell you this. Mike Mayock, during the combine coverage, talked about Paul Perkins and the run he had against Stanford. And I'm like, Mike, what you talking about, Mike? What you talking about? So, I totally forgot that Mike had mentioned that several times during the telecast. So when I watched the Stanford tape, I saw what Mike was talking about. I said, when Mike kept saying it over and over, I was like, Mike, the run couldn't have been that good, Mike. You over-exaggerate. You're overdoing it, Mike. You're overselling it. No, Mike was, like Mike usually is, this time of the year, spot on. That run was tremendous versus Stanford. So he gets the football. There is a defender, a linebacker, waiting on him in the hole. Like, where you going, man? Paul is like, damn, where you come from? So all he did was break the dude off. Ha, ha, ha. The dude said, oh, whoa, what the hell was that? Paul left him in his dust. All right, Paul gets up the field. There's another defender. He's getting blocked, but he's on the ground. Paul said, I'm going to step over this trash. So he jumps in the air. Another defender coming. Paul says, oh, excuse me. Jump cut to the side on him. Got up the field. It's one of the prettiest runs you'll see that doesn't result in a touchdown. Probably about a good 35, 40 yards in the play. That's Paul Perkins, man. The dude he's a dynamic back. In short, tight quarters, he can make a guy look silly really fast. And because he's got vision, after he breaks a dude off, he'll find green grass because he's got the vision to see a cutback. He's got the ability and the agility and the balance to be able to make a guy miss, keep his balance, bounce off a defender, and get up the field and get more yardage. So there's a lot to like here with Paul Perkins. His balance, I talked about tremendous balance. To me, the Arizona game in 15, perfect example. There's a small crevice that he gets through. And I think the players on the Arizona Wildcats defense thought he was down because he gets through there, he puts his hand on the ground, he stumbles. Somehow, he's like literally an inch from the ground, picks himself up, takes off to the end zone. And you're like, did he just really get through that? I had to watch the replay a couple times to see if he really got through that little crevice and stayed on his feet and didn't fall down on the ground, and he did. Tremendous balance. Runs behind his pads. I like the way he runs behind his pads. I think if it's there to be gotten, Paul Perkins is going to get it. And you know, some people feel like he isn't a physical enough runner. I think he is. I like what I saw out of him, and I like the fact that he runs behind his pads on 3rd and 1. I don't have a problem giving Paul Perkins the football. I think he's going to get the first down. That's how I feel. They gave it to him, and I felt like he was a guy that would convert for them in short yardage situations. Now, I'm going to say this. The interior of the UCLA offensive line wasn't the best. There were a lot of times where Paul Perkins would get the football and he would encounter somebody the minute he touched the football. So I don't subscribe to him not being a guy that doesn't run behind his pads well and doesn't get yards in short yardage situations. I actually like him, and I think he runs behind his pads well for a guy his size. Very shifty as an ex-pro, and I talked about his shiftiness and his ability to make guys miss. For that size, keep in mind, we're talking about a 210-pound running back. It's not easy to be shifty at that size. And for him to go out and do some of the things that he does, it's amazing. And a guy his size and his build, he's got a thick, stocky build as a running back. And I feel like he's a very shifty guy for his size. Solid hands. Here's a guy that catches the football out of the backfield. You know, he had, I think, over 30 catches the last 2 years at UCLA. A guy that, I think 26 2 years ago, and I think over 30 this year. Either way, he's a guy that catches it out of the backfield as well. So you get a lot out of Paul Perkins in terms of mileage and what you need out of him. A multifaceted, all-purpose type of back, can catch it, can run it as well. Solid in pass pro, so I feel like he's a guy that doesn't really need to come off the field if need be. If you want to just stick him in the game as a 3rd down back, he can provide that for you as well because he can catch it, but he can also block. You want to give him a draw. You know, I think he can come in and help somebody right away. You know, I mean, even if you don't really like him taking carries away from your primary back, but you still want to get him on the field, he does a number of things that I feel like translate to the next level and will allow him to play early on in his NFL career. His cons, quicker than fast, man. How many times you done heard me say that? So you already know. You already know what I'm about to say. I'm gonna say it anyway. He's quicker than fast. Translation, you guessed it. He's slow. 4.54 40. Now that's not really that slow, but I'm gonna tell you right now, when you put on the tape, it looks a lot less than that, okay? He looks like a 4.6 back. You know, when he gets out in space and he's got a chance to motor, I feel like he's not going anywhere. I'm like, I'll give you an example. Kenneth Dixon, La Tech running back, runs a 4.58. But when you put the two on tape together, you look at Kenneth Dixon, he looks like he's running more of a 4.54, 4.52. Whereas Paul Perkins runs a 4.54, but he looked like he was running a 4.58, 4.60. So my next con is no extra gear. And I talked about Kenneth Dixon having an extra gear where even though he's not pulling away from a defender, he still has a burst that you see where it gives him a little bit of momentum, allows him to get up the field and give him a chance to score. Paul Perkins doesn't have that. It's one speed and one speed only, and it's pretty slow. It's marginal at best. So you're not getting an extra gear. You're not getting him separating from anybody on the second level. It's not happening with Paul Perkins. No deception as a receiver is his final con for me. They split him out quite a bit at UCLA, and to me, he just runs and then he just turns around and, okay, I'm here, throw me the football. You know, there's no, for all of the wiggles and agility that he has as a running back, and when he has the football in his hands as a runner, for all of the agility and him breaking guys off that you get when he has the ball, he didn't do that when he's a receiver. He's just, or he just stands in front of a guy. I'm like, break him off! Break him off like you broke off the dude for Stanford. Break him off! I see him break good dudes off all the time. And then when it comes to him running a route, it's just plain as vanilla. You're not going to get open like that. And so because of that, I just see him as a guy that catches swing routes and, you know, check downs and screens. I mean, he's reduced to nothing in the passing game to me if he doesn't become a better route runner. And because he doesn't separate, because there's no extra gear, I can't see him winning up the sideline on a wheel route or something like that. So I just feel like he didn't do enough for me as a receiver, but he got good. He got solid hands. You can throw him the ball. How's he gonna get open? That's the question, okay? That's the big question at the next level. So that's Paul Perkins in a nutshell. and his draft prospects 101 breakdown. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the lab room. Come back and join me as I continue to break down anything and everything in the National Football League. We moving on to another position. Come back and join me to find out exactly what that position is going to be.
There's plenty more where that came from. While you're here, subscribe to the channel. If you want more Louie Tee, be sure to follow me on Twitter at In The Lab Room, or you can like the Facebook page at In The Lab Room. That's In The Lab Room on Facebook and at In The Lab Room on Twitter. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so.